Now, how some utility workers in our area are preparing to help with the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. And community members are working together to bring attention to the opioid crisis here in Wisconsin and beyond. Plus, it's move-in day. The class of 2023 starts their college experiences at UW today.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
Thanks for joining News 3 Now at 6. I'm Amanda Quintana. We're following a developing story out of Texas where the city of Odessa says one person is dead and 21 people are injured in a mass shooting. Officials say one suspect has been taken into custody and another was shot and killed at a movie theater in Odessa. Police say the two shooters were in separate vehicles, including one in a U.S. mail truck. City officials have been warning people to stay indoors and avoid Interstate 20 in Odessa, Midland, and Big Spring. We will have more on this situation tonight on News 3 Now at 10. Hurricane Dorian is now on track for the Carolinas, although much of Florida's east coast could still be a target for the storm. Gabriella Becerra shares how Wisconsin is lending a hand to those in Florida who are going to need it. Gabby.
People living in Florida and the Carolinas are preparing by stocking up on food, water, and fuel because as the storm makes landfall, it's expected to bring damage, including downed power lines, leaving people without power for up to days to weeks. Electric companies in Wisconsin are prepping to help them out. Right now, along the southeast coast, people are preparing for Hurricane Dorian, which is expected to bring torrential damage.
Power outages and storm surge with flooding that could affect millions of people for days.
You need to take preparations for this storm if you haven't already.
While here in Wisconsin, 27 crew members from Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin are preparing to help fix downed power lines.
We're going to be restoring power.
From Vanguard Electric in Black Earth, Sean Dilley is one of the workers who will put in 16-hour days in hopes of speeding along the recovery process.
Yeah, change out a pole is probably depending on the pole, 4 or 5 hours. Some poles can take a day, depending how busy the pole is.
2 years ago, Dilley volunteered to go to Florida for Hurricane Irma recovery.
We got to experience the wrath of a hurricane then, and kind of made us appreciate what we got back here as far as we don't have to deal with a hurricane, and going a couple weeks without air conditioning and 100-degree weather is a little rough on people.
So this time he knows better what to expect.
Got to make sure our safety equipment's all ready to go. Just different terrain, different weather.
Although different climates, Dilley said the flooding Black Earth experienced last year helps them relate to what they'll see in Florida.
We've seen it firsthand, a disaster in our own towns, so we kind of, I guess, feel for other people in their towns that lose as much as what they've lost here.
And because of that, Dilley says he appreciates neighbors helping neighbors.
We take a lot of pride in it. It's kind of neat. We're away from home, away from our families, and it's kind of nice giving back to other people's communities and seeing the relief they get from us putting their power back on.
Dilley says one of the problems they faced during Irma was the lack of fuel and hotels. So as the crews leave for Florida tomorrow morning, Dilley says they will be stocked with equipment and safety gear. They need to get the job done, as well as food and fuel.
All right, thank you so much, Gabby. In a few minutes, we'll take a closer look at the impact Hurricane Dorian could still have on the East Coast and just how powerful it might be. Let's get a look at your first alert weather with Dave Caulfield. Dave, a few raindrops, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. We've had a lot of dry air that this rain has had to fight through, and pretty admirably so in some spots to actually get that rain to reach the ground. But a few showers this afternoon, nothing more than nuisance raindrops across southern Wisconsin. And we have high resolution Doppler on right now. So still a couple of returns showing up closer to southwestern Wisconsin. Live look in Madison, the WISC-TV Skycam at those cloudy skies. Again, maybe a few more raindrops this evening, but nothing really significant. Temperatures have dipped into the mid 60s in Madison, still at 70 in Janesville, 64 in Platteville. But look at these dew points. You see how far that spread is from the 60s to the 50s? So that's really dry air that is still in place that any rain that wants to fall to the ground has to fight through to actually get to the ground. So a lot of that may not even be hitting the ground as we speak. Even so, have an umbrella ready to go tonight because a few more showers may visit us across southern Wisconsin as we head into the overnight hours. But by tomorrow, I think we'll see some more sunshine by the afternoon and highs in the mid-70s. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll talk about when our next chance of seeing some thunderstorms is and a cool down on the way for the middle of next week in your first alert forecast.
Thank you, Dave. And we do have an update. That mass shooting reported in Texas. City of Odessa officials have confirmed that 5 people are dead. Of course, we will continue to cover this and have more information on channel3000.com. More local news now. A $200 cash bond is set for a man charged with randomly stabbing and killing a Madison man. Armando Lang, appeared in court for the first time today. Lang told police he was in the FBI and that he attacked 49-year-old Ben Christensen because he was going to try and murder his family. Family members told police Lang had stopped taking medication recently and has shown bouts of anger. 3 people are injured following a single vehicle crash near the town of Oregon. The Dane County Sheriff's Office says it happened at the T intersection of County Roads MM and A shortly after 3:30 this morning. An off-duty Madison officer was traveling south on the highway and saw a flash of light at the intersection. That officer found a car on its roof about 100 feet off of the road in the woods. An investigation found 18-year-old Graciela Flores was driving eastbound on the highway at fast speeds and didn't stop at the intersection. Flores and 2 passengers were admitted to the hospital. Officials say speed and alcohol were factors in this crash, and Flores was arrested for operating while intoxicated, causing injury. A man is in jail after hitting a person crossing the street in Madison early this morning. Officials say a 34-year-old man was walking across East Washington Avenue at Hancock Street when a car hit him. Police say the driver, 27-year-old Sean Howard, had not stopped and continued up to the Capitol Square. He finally stopped after hitting 2 other cars that were parked on Union Street. Witnesses tell police they saw Howard take the license plates off his car before running away. He was arrested at an East Side residence. We've been shedding light on the drug epidemic throughout the week, and today is International Overdose Awareness Day. If you've driven along Atwood Avenue, you've probably noticed the hundreds of white flags on display across from the Olbrich Botanical Gardens. Each one represents someone in our community who died from a drug overdose, and that's where we find our Jamie Perez. She's waiting for a memorial ceremony to start in about an hour. Jamie, what can we expect to see tonight?
This is going to be a really emotional ceremony tonight, Amanda, as you can imagine. You can see behind me there are literally hundreds of these flags. Like you said, each representing someone who has died from a fatal drug overdose. And each one of these flags has somebody's name on them, a special message, plus the date that they died. Now, every single one of these members here will be remembered at tonight's ceremony, and that does start here in an hour. The Lieutenant Governor will be here to speak on this, as well as the Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan and several families who will share how this epidemic has impacted their family and friends and taken their loved ones away from them far too soon. There will also be a candlelight walk here tonight, scheduled around 8:15, and everyone is welcome to come. This epidemic has touched so many lives, and they really want to reiterate the message that this can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So everyone here is invited to attend tonight's gathering to just see how truly impactful this is on our community. And actually, they are setting up for that event right now as we speak. We will join you back here tonight at 10 o'clock with more emotion and reaction to just how much this is impacting our community. For now, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jamie. New UW students started moving into dorms on campus this morning. The class of 2023 moves in this weekend in residence halls that they were assigned to in June. Some students have been moving in during recent days for trainings or orientation activities, but it's safe to say they're excited for this next chapter in their lives.
Obviously, there's a little bit of anxiety involved, a lot of new things going on in life, but I think by and large, I'm really just excited to start a new chapter in my life, move in here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, kind of just have a new experience, meet some new people, have some new friends, you know, just get an education. That's kind of the big thing.
Some students are also moving into the newly renovated Whitty Hall, which underwent a 2.5-year, $53 million renovation. UW Housing will start renovations on Cellar Hall next summer, including joining the 2 towers together and adding 2 floors. Still to come on News 3 Now at 6, the Cow Chip Throwing Festival wraps up today. And while the competition may seem very Wisconsin, we'll tell you why it's not only a contest for locals. Welcome back. The Wisconsin Cow Chip Festival started yesterday, and today the chips were chucked. Some throwers licked their fingers before tossing the cow chips, while others went with more of a traditional frisbee throw. Each contestant chose 2 cow chips, and the farthest one was the only one that counted. Gloves were not allowed when throwing, and all chips needed to be at least 6 inches in diameter. And while this competition may seem inherently Wisconsin, it's not just for locals.
Last year's men's winner was actually from Eau Claire, so that's not real far, but we've had people from California, we've had people from other countries throwing. Usually we have a lot of people that aren't from Wisconsin even throwing.
Officials say around 40 to 50,000 people come to the festival and the Tournament of Chips parade. All vendors at the Cow Chip Festival are nonprofits, and it wraps up tonight at Marion Park in Prairie du Sac with a few closing celebrations. Coming up on News 3 Now at 6, the latest on the path of Hurricane Dorian and where it might still hit.
And we'll talk about our next good chance for rain and cooler weather on the way for next week in your First Alert forecast.
Dangerous Hurricane Dorian is churning in the Atlantic and gaining strength. Right now, the high-end Category 4 storm is packing maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, and it could hit the southeastern U.S. Nadia Romero is in West Palm Beach, Florida, where people are preparing.
Homes and businesses boarded, stores packed with people, and gas tanks filled.
I'm happy they have gas.
People in Florida bracing for Hurricane Dorian.
The message today is prepare, wait, and see.
Dangerous Dorian is set to pummel the northwest Bahamas. Then the path becomes more murky. Hurricane Dorian can make landfall in the United States anywhere between Florida and the Carolinas.
I think we all have to take this very seriously.
The Sunshine State's eastern seaboard could still feel the impacts from this large and powerful storm.
We still have the responsibility to ensure that should the storm track change, that we are ready and prepared to deal with whatever the impacts are.
Don't take down your shutters, not just yet.
Even if it stays offshore, the hurricane can bring life-threatening wind, storm surge, and flooding to Florida as early as next week.
So while we are being told today that it looks more favorable of a northerly trend, we need to be prepared.
Making these kinds of preparations necessary to protect property and potentially save lives.
We're ready for it, and been here, done this, so, hope we'll get through it again with everybody else. Hope everybody be safe.
In West Palm Beach, Florida, I'm Nadia Romero.
Let's get a look at your first alert weather with Dave Caulfield. Dave, I know you've been following that. It looks really powerful.
Yeah, Dorian is a very powerful storm, a high-end Category 4, very, very close to a Category 5 storm right now with maximum winds of 150 miles per hour, moving to the west at 8 miles per hour. So we are noticing still those favorable trends for Florida as it is set to now curve before hitting the mainland U.S., at least closer to Florida. But the Bahamas, unfortunately, are really in the direct path of this storm. So that's number one. Number two, just because there's no defined landfall at this point doesn't mean that we have to, or that we can let our guard down with this, because the path that it is set to take, at least at this point, while it is better from a wind and rainfall standpoint, storm surge is going to be a big problem for a lot of folks along the southeastern coast. So we'll continue to watch that because there's still, as we've been saying, is a lot of uncertainty when it comes to that track. Now, visible cloud track is showing a little bit more certainty with the clouds that have been here basically all day. Not much sunshine on this Saturday, but we did see a few peaks. We also did see a few nuisance showers this afternoon, and really, these showers punched above their weight. They had to fight through some very dry air with dew points in the 50s and temperatures in the upper 60s, but even so, we did see a couple of showers out on my walk this afternoon in Madison, so we are noticing still some light returns closer to southwestern Wisconsin, so have the umbrella ready to go this evening. You might need it. I think the better chances arrive overnight into early tomorrow morning as that low pressure system passes to the south of us. However, I think still the better rain chances are south of the Wisconsin-Illinois state line. Be ready for that rain. I really don't think that we'll see too much of it. And then as we head into Sunday and for much of Labor Day on Monday, I think we are probably dry across southern Wisconsin. Madison and the Edgewater Skycam looking at mostly cloudy skies right now. Maybe a little bit of sunshine off in the distance, which is good news. Today's high of 71, about 5 degrees below normal for this time of year. Other temperatures, we've moved into the mid-60s generally across southern Wisconsin. These dew points are generally in the 40s and 50s, the exception a little bit closer to where that rain is showing up in southwestern Wisconsin. So some of that rain actually may be hitting the ground. For the rest of us, I think it is falling as what we call virga, which is rain that evaporates before it hits the ground. It gets into dry air and can't fully reach the ground. Temperatures in the low 80s for Labor Day Monday and Tuesday. Showers and thunderstorms possible on Tuesday. Then a cold front comes through, knocks us down closer to 70 for Wednesday and Thursday. We're in the 50s tonight with a slight chance of a shower as we get into tomorrow. We'll call it becoming partly sunny, a little bit milder with temperatures in the mid-70s. So future track really not too optimistic on those rain chances overnight. Again, the better chances are south of the state line. As we get into Sunday, I think we'll start to see a little bit more sunshine with highs in the mid-70s. Then into Monday, we'll have some clouds overnight into Monday morning, but we'll see that sunshine come back during the afternoon again with highs right around 80. Showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday with temperatures in the low 80s. But look at that, folks. Wednesday and Thursday, Thursday. Temperatures right around 70 degrees, much cooler and less humid. And really, temperatures are staying near that 70-degree mark as we head into next weekend as well. A couple of slight chances for showers and thunderstorms in there, but overall, not looking like a bad start to the month of September.
Yeah, and so
starts tomorrow.
Oh, well,
oh my
news
gosh.
to me. Thank you so much, Dave. Still ahead, action from around the Big Ten. Plus, Jonathan Taylor tells us about his new role this season. That's next in sports.
Well, if you didn't believe the hype about Jonathan Taylor, you probably became a believer last night if you saw the game with your own two eyes. Everyone from Reggie Bush to Russell Wilson to Patrick Mahomes tweeting JT for Heisman during last night's game. In the first 32 minutes of the season, he scored 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 2 catches, helping Wisconsin beat South Florida 49-0 to start the season off strong. Now, JT has been working on catching the ball over the summer and throughout fall camp, and he's proving that the extra time and effort was well worth it.
Making sure that I got everyone going around me, stepping into more of a leadership role this year, so I felt like it was more of my job to make sure everybody else was going instead of just making sure that I was ready to go. It finally feels great to see the hard work pay off. A lot of my teammates know, I've been working day in and day out in order to have this come to life on the field, so it really felt good tonight.
Now we'll get to see JT and the Badgers at home until October because the next 5 games are at Camp Randall with a bye week early on. Kickoff times for Northwestern and Kent State have not yet been determined, so stay tuned. Other Big Ten action today, Ryan Day making his official debut as head coach of Ohio State, hosting Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic. Justin Fields starting for the Buckeyes, the transfer from Georgia with a fast start in the first quarter, 51 yards down the left side for 6. Later, showing off the arm to a wide open Jeremy Ruckert, 14-0 Buckeyes. No problems for Ohio State today, 45-21, the final. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Indiana scraping by Ball State by 10. Logan Justice, the kicker, making 4 field goals in the Hoosiers' effort. And hello, Maryland, a big shutout victory over in-state HBC school Howard. Quarterback Josh Jackson throwing for 4 touchdowns there. The Fighting Lovie Smiths, no problems against Akron, with Brandon Peters, the grad transfer, throwing for 163 yards. Northwestern and Stanford in progress as we speak. Northwestern down by 3. And James Franklin taking no prisoners today. Penn State obliterating Idaho. Middle Tennessee and Michigan, they're getting ready to kick off in Ann Arbor at 6:30. Today at 3 p.m. Central, all NFL teams had to make their final decisions for their respective 53-man rosters. The Packers saying no thanks to Deshaun Kaiser, presumably giving Tim Boyle the backup job to Aaron Rodgers. And both Natrell Jamerson and Olive Sakapolu, the former Badgers, were both released from the Packers as well today. So who's staying in Green Bay? Some more impactful guys. Rookie running back Dexter Williams will be the 3rd running back behind Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. Wide receiver Darius Shepard, he's a cool story. The rookie out of North Dakota State went undrafted, didn't get any free agency signings. He was invited to a tryout with the Packers, and here we are. 53-man roster. Some former Badgers making their rosters. Alec Ingold beating out the competition on the Raiders. He has made the 53-man roster, as well as TJ Edwards. He's got a spot on the Eagles. The Brewers putting Keston Hiura on the injured list. He'll be out for at least 2 weeks after he limped off of the field last night. Official word is a hamstring strain. Meanwhile, Ben Gamel and Travis Shaw have been recalled from AAA as the Brew Crew trying to recover quickly from yesterday's loss at Wrigley. Some battles on the mound this afternoon between Zach Davies and Cole Hamels. Therefore, not a lot of highlights in this one. Brewers getting up early here thanks to Manny Piña's shallow center, but enough for Gamel and Christian Yelich to cross home plate. 2-0 Brewers. That would be the final. Rubber match is tomorrow. Gio Gonzalez, Yu Darvish, both starting on the mound. Guys.
All right, thank you so much. And before we go tonight, we wanted to update some breaking news. An active shooter has been shot and killed in Odessa, Texas. According to the Midland Police Department, at least 5 people are dead, including the suspect. 20 others have been injured. We are still working to gather details, and we'll have more on our website, channel3000.com, as well as on News 3 Now at 10 o'clock. And let's take another look at weather.
A couple of rain showers still out there, but really that rain has to fight through a lot of dry air. That being said, have the umbrella ready to go for the next couple of hours. Temperatures dipping into the 50s tonight. So take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast. We'll be back in the 80s by Labor Day.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.